You ever notice this weird thing about yourself? You decide to wake up early, eat healthy, or stop scrolling, but somehow you end up doing the exact opposite, and it feels confusing and frustrating. This happens because your brain is not designed to follow big decisions. It's designed to avoid effort and chase comfort. The moment you decide to change, your brain senses discomfort and quietly rebels, offering excuses that sound completely logical. Like just 5 more minutes or I'll start tomorrow. On top of that, your brain loves instant rewards. So it chooses the quick dopamine from your phone or the comfort of sleep over future benefits. It's not that you're lazy or undisciplined. It's your brain protecting itself from effort and uncertainty. Once you realize this, you stop fighting yourself and start making smarter, smaller choices that your brain can't resist. Instead of forcing big promises, real change begins when you work with your brain, not against it. Small actions feel safe to the brain, so it doesn't push back or rebel. Saying I'll study for 2 minutes feels harmless, but once you start, momentum takes over. When you reduce friction and remove temptation, the brain naturally follows the easier path. This is why habits change not through motivation, but through environment and tiny wins. When you stop blaming yourself and understand how your mind actually works, the opposite behavior slowly fades, and consistency finally feels natural instead of forced. Or think of it this way, the moment you make a strong decision, your brain quietly panics because it senses effort and loss of comfort. To protect you, it creates distractions, excuses, and delays that feel completely reasonable in the moment. That's why you don't feel like you're choosing to fail. It just happens. The brain always chooses what feels good now over what's good later, and unless you change the setup, it will keep winning that battle. When you stop making strict rules and start making small, easy moves, the brain relaxes, resistance disappears, and suddenly you're no longer doing the opposite. You're finally moving forward. You sit down full of confidence and decide, this time I'll do it. You'll wake up early, stay focused, stop wasting time, or finally start that thing you've been delaying. The decision feels strong, almost heroic. But a few hours later, or sometimes just a few minutes later, you're doing the exact opposite. The alarm rings and you hit snooze. The book stays closed. The phone somehow ends up in your hand. And the worst part isn't the failure, it's the confusion. You decided differently, so why did you betray your own decision? This happens because your brain doesn't understand decisions the way you think it does. Your decision lives in logic and intention, but your brain runs on comfort and survival. The moment you decide to change something, your brain senses effort, uncertainty, and possible discomfort. It doesn't see your goals. It sees a threat to its peaceful routine. So it steps in to protect you by pulling you back to familiar behaviors. That protection shows up as excuses that sound smart, delays that feel harmless, and distractions that feel irresistible. Another reason you do the opposite is because your brain is addicted to instant rewards. Scrolling, sleeping, avoiding work, these give immediate relief. Your decision, on the other hand, promises a reward in the future. And the brain is terrible at caring about the future. It always asks, what feels good right now, not what will help me later. So even if your decision is right, the brain will choose the faster dopamine every single time unless something changes. There's also a quiet rebellion happening inside you. When you make strict rules for yourself, your brain feels controlled. And humans hate being controlled, even by themselves. That's why the harder you say I must, the stronger the urge to do the opposite becomes. It's not laziness, it's resistance. The brain wants freedom, not pressure. The real mistake is thinking discipline comes from force. It doesn't, it comes from design. When you make changes small, remove temptations, and lower effort, the brain stops fighting back. Tiny actions feel safe, so momentum can grow naturally. Once you understand that your brain isn't your enemy, just a comfort-seeking machine, you stop blaming yourself. And when blame disappears, real change finally begins.